What's up, y'all? It's your boy Salt God here. I'm gonna add some audio in the background here. Don't worry about that. So let's talk about this video. This is gonna be my first lore sode. Actually, I had another video planned, but it didn't record properly. It's gross. It's very gross. It's very choppy. There's nothing I can really salvage from there, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. So instead, let's talk about some of the lore that we're seeing in Godfall, at least from the codexes I've grabbed so far. I'm only level 10, so I didn't grab very much, or at least not many yet. So I'm going to just do a huge lump video of what I have currently and call this part 1 of the lore sode. We're going to be focusing just on the kind of the lore stuff. May get into the beast series another day, but that's definitely going to be a really back burner thing. So let's start with what I have. I have all 1 through 7 of the Chronicles of Wolf, 1 through 4 of Orin's Journal, and more importantly, Tales from Hyperion. Hyperion? So we're going to start with actually the very bottom. Actually, we're not. We're going to start with Chronicles of Wolf, Part 1. Chronicle of Wolf, Part 1, Chronicle of the Wolf. I don't know why that's double stated. I guess you got sub stories. I've done it. I've taken the monolith, and in doing so, I fought and killed the best person I have ever known. Wish I could say that we were evenly matched, and that our duel lasted for a moon whole molt to full to new. What? It's that way in the stories, but it was decided before we ever crossed swords. Orin's forces were outmatched, and so was my foolish sibling. I ended 1,000 years of war when I threw Orin off the balcony. It was victory so inevitable it nearly broke my heart. Okay. It's still Chronicle of the Wolf. Again, I don't understand. I trampled a banked campfire as we charged Orin's lines. Cinders and gray ash. A little flame inside. Had Orin rested there? We broke through. I found Orin in the monolith's throne room as waves shattered on the rocks far below. Outside, the gulls came down for the bodies of the fallen. We did not speak. Everything had been said. We fought while the gulls screamed with hunger. Orin was prepared, but it didn't matter. Orin was doomed. When the moment came, I drew the inner sword. I cast Orin down. After my victory, I ordered my warriors to search for Orin's remains. They brought me a wretched, sea-bloated corpse in my sibling's ruined valor plate. It smelled of Orin's true blood. I wept for my victory. My beloved sibling, whom I trusted above all others, was dead. I screamed and beat my fist on the stone even as my warriors celebrated. I now had the monolith. I was ready to form the rites of ascension. All my hopes could be realized, and yet I felt hollow. I would ascend to Godhood without my brother, without the one person who would be the first of my divine host. So our war ended here. Where do we begin? This is kind of sad. This is already sad. Each Archon fought according to their nature, be it conquest or mercy, for the conquered. As the war dragged on and the Archons looked for every advantage, some of them turned to creation. We Valorians were with such a success, they reasoned that they should be able to do it again. Thus they created the Ladder Burn, they so-called Triarchy. The Vargal, the Abyssians, the Nyack, and the Flameblood. The Ladder-born bastards were created to be weapons to tip the balance of war in the Archon's endless wars. But they can never outdo us Valerians, their firstborn champions. And though I was the strongest warrior, there were no Valerian more valorous than my dear sibling Orin. Bro, dude, bro, come on. Orin and I were separated when Silvermane and Hinterclaw broke their alliance. I was a fully fledged knight of the Hinterclaw, while Orin was just a newly minted warrior of Silvermane. Leaving Orin felt like I had lost the voice of my better nature. Still, I was a warrior, and I needed to make war. So I relented my mark across the battlefield. None could stop me. I had an idea that something was broken in the world, but I only looked for answers only in battle and victory. I took my reunion with Orin to turn my eyes towards the Archons. Okay. Big plan. I was at Anadel, laying siege to a plateau city built on the ruins of 5 others. I circled the walls, calling for a challenger to open the gate and fight. I imagined my surprise when I was knocked to the ground, a blade of pure Ethereum to my throat. I recognized it then, a voice I had not heard for 10 years. You and I could kill a god, Orin whispered, but we need a victory worthy of an audience. Tell me, Macros, does this land look seismically sound to you? Orin led me to a fault in the earth near Anadel, and I understood. We could collapse the plateau beneath the walls of the city, then Anadel would be mine. I understood then what the arc of my life would be. Victory in battle became a victory so complete that I could recognize all of Hyperion. So we cut the earth until it quaked, and the walls of Anadel crashed down. After my soldiers routed the defenders, Orin sat in my encampment and brewed me the finest cup of tea I ever tasted. Then we discussed the inevitable truth, that as long as the Archons remained in the world, we would have nothing but war and destruction. Alright, so I think Orin switched up. Alright, and we're actually going to pause here for now because I have to go eat. Pause. Alright, that was the Chronicle of the Wolf. Now we're going to Orin's Journal, parts 1 through 4. Alright. Why? My brother once told me that every battle stinks the same. Fear and hot metal. He would say that every time one of his soldiers saluted him, he would anticipate their passing. After 1,000 years before, he has surrounded us. He anticipates a final victory against us. I believe we could hold out, but Macros proved too cunning an opponent. There's no other way to outmaneuver someone who's known you for centuries. I've known Macros revels in destruction to come, even more than he admits to himself. How can I win? No, he doesn't do that. He mourned for you. He doesn't do that. Marcus fights with cunning and overpowering strength. I have fought alongside him during an eternity of campaigns and learned his strength from the ways he breaks his enemies. I could write a manual on his mastery of war. No one ever chooses to be outnumbered and outmatched, yet Macros forced me into this position. It's unlikely that I'll beat him here, though I'm sure my stubbornness aggravates him. As I weigh my options, one thing is clear. I should have invoked the 7th Sanctum earlier, but last resorts are thus named for a reason. There he was, my brother, Macros. This was the first time I set eyes on him upon a deck. Oh wow, this actually just jumps around. Whatever. This is the first time I set eyes upon him in a decade, and I was here on Silvermane's behalf. I was tasked with finding the weakness of Hinterclaw's powerful champion. I was surprised when I saw that it was Macros. I shouldn't have been. So Macros called the enemy's champions one by one and defeat them all. I saw him cleave a rank of foes in two with the force of his charge. I saw how his comrades deferred to him, how they dreaded his penchant for violence. I resolved to exploit that dreadful violence. There were beautiful traditions even in those days when the Archons walked among us. We dueled using dragonfly kites with glass-edged strings. We held tournaments for poetry and the tossing of sun javelins. It was always the Archons that moved us to ecstasy or violence, casting a shadow over all achievement. Nothing could be more glorious unless they willed it so. I brewed Macros a simple tea for our conversation after he took Anadel. I explained that our games and traditions portrayed the Archons at war. Even our art was all inspired by a sword or spear. As long as those 12 lightning stars dwelt among us, we would be nothing but their shadows. Those words changed my brother. He listened intently and he understood. Power distorts choice, and with their power, he had no choice but eternal war. Macros is the hero here. Why are we stopping him? Why? Why are we against him? Why are we doing this? So, whatever. I enjoy it top to bottom. Tales from Ethereum. Believed to be the crystallized blood of Cosmera, every facet of life on Hyperion, from the gleaming Valerian cities to the grotesque architectures of the Tetrarchy. What? relies on this miraculous substance known as Aetherium. Aetherium is coveted by all groups as a power source at crafting material and even substance. The Valyrian Godsmith forged the weapons and armor used by their knights with Aetherium. The savage craven are drawn to consume it. Every facet of life is affected, bolstered, and powered by these magical materials. Aetherium. Seeing the unlimited potential of their world, the early Valyrians named it Aetherium. Since then, Aetherium would come to mean both the planet and the idea of something was worth preserving. The Skybreaker Monolith. The Skybreaker Monolith is a device of such power that its scope is difficult to understand. Originally devised as a way to affect and control Aetherium itself, the monolith languished for centuries as a mere Aetherium drill. However, in order to grant these capabilities, the ancient godsmiths needed to understand all aspects of Aetherium. In doing so, they created something that can shape the very nature of reality. The Sanctums. Created in a bygone age by the ancient godsmiths, the Sanctums were built to act as an eternal repository of Valyrian knowledge. The ancients feared that all the stories and discoveries of the Valyrian people would be lost if they continued to war as they have, and so they built these thinking constructs to preserve the Valyrian memories. The Sanctums would be librarians and historians, who would remind the Valyrian people of their past and guide them forward into the future. Of the 7 known Sanctums, 6 were lost in the Valyrian Civil War. Only the 7th, the one who was sealed away, remained. Valyrians. The Valyrians were the first creations of the Archons, made in the likeness of the Archons who seek for themselves. The semi-divine warriors initially acted as extensions of the Archons' collective wills. The greatest of the Valyrians were given Valor Plate, the legendary armor made in the image of the Archons, and next to be the champion their gods on Aetherium. In the beginning, Cosmera made the world when she devoured herself. The Archons were her dreams, and they dreamt hungrily of existence. There was nothing to satisfy their hunger but their own flesh. Cosmera ate of Cosmera. She shed blood of the serpent, the crystallized power of the void, which we all call Aetherium. The world clotted around it, existence coalesced like frost on glass. And from the ruins of Cosmera's body, the Archons stepped forth into existence. Firstborn of the Archons. We Valyrians were their first design. All 12 Archons collaborated to craft us forms that would also eventually use. They gifted us the first suits of Valor Plate, holy armor for the champions of the gods. Each as precious as it was powerful, we were the first to know death and the first to show courage in its face. Thus we named Valyrians. We had always believed they made us in their image, but they had instead made themselves too well in ours. Imperfect gods. The peoples of Aetherium had misunderstood the Archons' nature. They should have stayed as gods of ideal. When they spun themselves physical shapes, incarnating themselves into physical realm, they became trapped by their sins of mortality. Overcome by mortal anger, jealousy, and ambition, the Archons quarreled among themselves. They said they were kings quarrel. They argue using armies. We Valyrians made by the Archons to be their armies, and so the little choice, we argued. With Valyrians as their great armies, each Archon, according to their nature and their hunger, be it conquest or be it mercy for the conquered, made war. We did not know how deeply Cosmera's hunger had chewed into our souls. Then we would learn. The first recollection of the Seventh Sanctum. The first time I observed the Archon Hinterclaw, they were standing over war map with models and pieces forged from raw Ethereum. Like a game board, Hinterclaw moves pieces from one place to place. Stronghold to stronghold. Sometimes they closed a gauntleted fist and a piece imploded, signifying the outcome of the future battle. In this fashion, Silvermane predicted the movements of the Archon's armies and the flow of war. Hinterclaw cleared only for victory, not that battles cindered our cities and effaced our writings. How could I preserve a world that only cared for battle and power? Macros was there even then, Hinterclaw's fiercest champion, ever hungry for power. He wanted to steal the Ethereum pieces. I, on the other hand, ignored the Ethereum models and instead stole Hinterclaw's stratagems. Alright, that is the end of the first lore episode. I would like to state that Orin is, I don't like him based off the story as he plays as him. Macros actually seems like the person we want to follow in this particular case. And I think I like him simply and only because the Macros is seemingly looking for a freedom of war. But he's doing it through war, naturally. Through war and power, he must destroy. That's his reasoning. Orin, on the other hand, has no plan, but doesn't like his place here. But he's going to defend it no matter what. So, I hope Orin actually decides to change his mind throughout these lore episodes and throughout the gameplay. We'll hopefully see a transition and change. But currently, he is kind of dull and boring. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, definitely comment, and always subscribe, share, hit the bell as well. It's been your boy Maritime 64. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.